Hello, I hope that you all are doing well. Wanted to do a video here on Boeing. Just, a couple things that caught my eye here on Boeing as it approaches its earnings, which, could be one way or another. It has gone through many woes here over the past year. But just wanted to point out some things technically, prior to getting to that date, that could show signs of an upward pattern here on Boeing. So if we break it out just a little bit further to a 1 year, you can see here where our highs back here at 446, and then ever since there, it's really just been this sideways pattern in between. We'll call it 380 or really like 390, and then down here around 325. And particularly and these are kind of extremes down here. If you were to move the price up a little bit to where there was a little bit more trading, we're talking about 330 would be the support, but for now we'll keep it down here around 325, as we do have a few days where we dipped down there, and as of recent, towards the end of last year and into this year, we've been trading down here as well. But it looks as if we could be starting to swing to the upside. We've got a pretty strong resistance here at 340 that we would need to see a breakthrough, and we also have these moving averages, which are now really starting to push lower. So as we move towards the end of January, we move towards this earnings date, it'll be interesting to see if this continues to push down, and if we crack this little upward trend that I've created, or that I've just marked down, which really dates back to the end of December. So if we move it in a little bit tighter here, you can kind of see what I was looking at. So here on the 4-hour chart for Boeing, you can see we set lows down here in middle of December, mid to late December, right around 320 bucks a share. We then moved back up to that resistance, which I spoke on, at $340, and then shifted back down before setting a higher low. So this time we only went down to say $324 a share, and then we slowly kind of consolidated right here in the low 330s. Before making a pop up to 340. We actually made it all the way up here to 344, and then sold back down into the low 330s, and then made another run for it, and now we've traded back down, and you can see we just bounced off of this upward trend today. And it looks as if, at least on these 4-hour or on this 4-hour time increment, that we see that Boeing is kind of leveling off with these moving averages, and we're trading now right here in the low 332 mark. It looks as if we could see a push up. The fact that we pulled back down from 335 today wasn't necessarily a good sign. I would have liked to have seen it hold. Maybe pull back a little bit, but I didn't really want to see a pullback down to 332. If we look at it on a closer time frame, here on the hourly, you can see what I'm talking about. So as the morning started, it was pretty good. We dipped down right to this trend line that we had drawn based off of the previous low that was set in here around 324. We really just nailed it, and then traded back up, breaking yesterday's highs. Again, right up here around 335, and then we traded back down, only up about 0.5% on the day. But as we close out this week, what I would really like to see is us start to trend higher and higher and start knocking on that 340 window, and hopefully push through that. But again, if you look at that yearly chart, we got those moving averages that are pressing us down. This is obviously a pretty strong resistance here at 340. We've hit it multiple times and haven't been able to break through. We can start to see that the price oscillator is starting to level off, and it looks as if it may curl down. And then we also have here on the RSI, if we go to the, I think it was on the weekly, you can see we have this divergence here on the RSI, which at the moment is working in our favor. We're sitting down here a little bit to the oversold side down here, about a 40 rating. And if you look back in the past when we've been down here, we have seen a couple of little pops, some bigger than others, some that really didn't do a whole lot at all. So you can take that as you will, but we are down at that level again, and it looks, if we were to make a move above 340, we might also break this divergence and move to the high side. It might be a good sign for Boeing moving forward. Another reason that I see Boeing as being potentially good here for the short term, disregarding earnings, or at least in the time period before earnings is released, is the fact that we are bouncing off of this 200-day moving average on the weekly. So this is a pretty important moving average, the 200-day, especially on this weekly time frame, to see us bouncing off of that. And you can see it's been in multiple weeks now. We're in our 5th week of trading right above it. So if we start to see a crackdown, a break, and I would say starting with this trend line right here, if we start to see this breakdown and we make a lower low here, we very well may break down below this 200-day moving average. And if earnings continues to disappoint, we could quickly see us down here at 300, which is really kind of a last big support before we really could start to see some big drops to the downside, with the next ones being, say, down here maybe around 260, maybe down here 245. So just levels to keep in mind if we do start to see some volatility in Boeing. But really, as of now, I'm looking here on the hourly to see how we trade based off of this small little upward trend that we have set from the middle of December is really when this trend started. So I want to see if we can squeeze to the upside or if we break down is really what I'm looking at. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was insightful, maybe gave you a new view at Boeing that you did not see before. I know that there's a lot of negative news on Boeing, and it just seems to be thing after thing that is driving the price down. But potentially there could be some money to be made here if we do start to see this squeeze to the high side. So thank you guys again for watching.